Welcome, and thank you for your interest in this project. This short presentation provides an overview of the Mount Pleasant Area Plan, specifically discussing the housing development section within this area plan. The Village of Mount Pleasant is one of the fastest growing municipalities in the state of Wisconsin. To accommodate the future growth of the I-94 corridor in the northwest portion of the village, several categories of focus have been identified. These categories will provide deliverable improvement options for the village's community development department in the form of an area plan. The area plan will be developed using research and data collection on the region, local planning resources, review of past and current plans for the area, examination of existing uses, case studies, and public input from the Village of Mount Pleasant's community. This section of the plan will focus on housing development land use recommendations within the planning area. So goals and objectives of the entire plan focus around development, transportation infrastructure, and public engagement. The first goal is to encourage development that is innovative, equitable, attractive, and sustainable. The second goal is to provide transportation infrastructure necessary to encourage and support future growth. And the third goal is to utilize input from residents, businesses, and other stakeholders in the planning process to ensure development fits the desires and needs of the community. So here you see a map of the Village of Mount Pleasant in its regional context. You have the city of Racine to the east, the village of Sturtevant that lies within the middle of the Village of Mount Pleasant, and Caledonia to the north. The highlighted section of this map in yellow is the planning area that we are discussing today. It is in the northwest corner of the Village of Mount Pleasant. The plan area location. So the plan area is an area of 2.25 square miles. The area is bound by the Caledonia and Mount Pleasant boundary to the north, I-94 to the west, County Highway V to the east, State Highway, also known as Washington Avenue, to the south. Other notable roads that run through the area are Kraut Road and Spring Street. Features within this area include the new Aurora Hospital along State Highway 20, single-family housing, agriculture land, and protected wetlands. It's also important to note that the MP International Business Center lies directly south of the planning area. So getting into housing development. What is housing development? For the purpose of this plan, housing development is single-family detached housing, single-family townhousing, multifamily housing in the form of duplexes and triplexes, and other multifamily housing including apartments and mixed use. Why are we doing this? To generate diverse housing options for the village, to provide ample housing stock for residents, and to accommodate future growth that is projected within the village. So goals and objectives of the housing section. The first goal is to identify key housing development locations within the plan area. This includes identifying key nodes that could support high density and mixed use development, while also providing examples of what these key node developments may look like. The next goal is to promote housing developments consistent with local needs and surrounding uses. This includes meeting housing demand for owners and renters with a variety of housing types, densities, and affordability. At the same time, ensure that low-density residential developments preserve natural areas and provide a shared community outdoor space. This would be something like a conservation subdivision. The next goal is to increase density and diversity within the housing stock of the village. This would be to accommodate the majority of housing demand through moderate to high density residential or mixed use developments. And the last goal is to capitalize on the progressive village zoning codes. This would be using existing zoning code to densify development and recommending new zoning ordinances and land use practices that further promote progressive development within the village. So here you can see some picture examples of what single-family detached housing looks like. As you can see, there are a variety of different housing types and densities. This next slide depicts single-family housing in the form of townhousing. The difference between townhousing and detached housing is that while it is still single-family, townhousing is put together in a sector of multiple housing in a row. This is usually developed at a higher density as well. So now we move on to multifamily in the form of duplex and triplexes. As you can see, it's usually developed at a higher density. They can either be side by side or stacked on top of one another. Here are some examples of multifamily duplex and triplex. And the last examples that we have for housing are multifamily, including mixed use and apartments. So here you see pictures of some classic apartments. Some of these include mixed use, which would involve having a retail location or an office location on the bottom level of the structure, and then housing apartment buildings on the top. Thank you for your interest in this presentation.